Well, isn't it glorious? Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Bitcoin finally resolving that little short-term range, hitting our 11,800-ish target to the upside, of which, what now, sir? What now? Well, there's going to be plenty on that, of course. Anyways, I would like to wish you the best, and the happiest, because we got plenty to talk about today. So with that in mind, let's put the folks over here on the Krown Chain application, which can be found at app.krownchain.net, and it's 100% free, by the way, I should say. Anyways, looking at the open interest, which is of humongous interest right now, no pun intended, although I guess it does roll right there. We did add about 200 million, over 200 million in contract position from yesterday to today. So while Bitcoin does resolve this short-term range to the upside, positions being added on top of that. What does that essentially suggest? It's going to play into the greater analysis, and I'll kind of spoil its surprise right now, like the continuation of the upside. Anyways, Bitcoin dominance also popping up a 0.5% as well. Now, I do need to reiterate that long term, I'm looking at this to really go up. Now, of course, going up 0.5% is a pretty fucking big jump. But you know, when we're looking at this over the next 6 months, there's going to be an ebb and flow with it. But yep, you know, still kind of following it on that, and still kind of playing in the greater narrative that most alts first Satoshi's not going to be able to keep up with Bitcoin if Bitcoin starts rolling. And fear and greed index also over here popping up 1 point, which is interesting. So fair enough. What do we have over here on the data tab? I want to pay very particular attention to both seeing as Bitcoin has resolved this range. I want to pay particular attention on this next portion of the run to both the differential between the futures price action over spot and then also the global funding rate, namely all these exchanges down here. When we see these start to get close to about 0.1%, which right now they're literally just 0.01%, which is absolutely nothing. It's several factors lower, but if it gets around 0.1%, that's where I do start to potentially be looking for the next major high being put in on this run. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a full reversal, but likely, another one of those long form consolidations that we just saw, between about 10 and 11,000. So with that in mind, let's go over here to the price action charts themselves and kind of follow up on yesterday's short-term analysis. Bitcoin breaks the 11,500-ish region, and what happens? Our next targeted area is hit right around 11.8. We did say a short-term pullback from that region, of which we have gotten from 11.8 all the way down here to 11,650, and now Bitcoin really holding its own. And seeing as it is kind of flagging out at a high level like this, likely does get continuation from this level. If it does come back down and test around, and we can actually just move this up now somewhere around here, and I'm actually going to get rid of, well, we can keep that one too. Why not, man? Why not? And I'll put a little bit of a blue box in right here. As long as Bitcoin's above this region right here, I am basically a short-term, medium-term, and long-term boolah, and I'm looking for the next move up towards the 12,100-ish region right here. And I would be looking for that if and when Bitcoin does close a 2-hour dildo about above 11.8. Let's see if this actually does hold true on the 2-hour. Yeah, it could very likely use a 2-hour right here. And more importantly, we do see that the medium-term timeframes are in trending mode right now. But before we do that, let's actually go fully through the 4-hour and lower and kind of follow up exactly what we were seeing yesterday, kind of leading up into this bias for that upside breakout. And 4-hour historical volatility percentile really showing the timing of this that was likely yesterday around actually a regular stock market open. So good shit right there. And now getting up into the 84, 85 region right here. Getting a little bit hot, getting a little bit frothy. Still can go a little bit more. I'm looking for this to turn red and then mark kind of the next local high for the medium-term timeframes essentially, and play it a little bit of sideways and likely down. Does that come in at this level right here at 11.8? I think a little bit unlikely. Does it come around somewhere more towards 12.1? I think that's a little bit more likely, but again, I want to see that actually being ticked off there. We do see 4-hour momentum also is still actually pointed an angle to the north side, and usually when you actually see a snake like this, by the way, where it gives you a little bit of a cross the downside and then immediately reverse it back onto the upside, you're probably going to get another drive. Very likely to get another drive at least. Looking at 4-hour RSI, what do we see? Same sort of thing here too. Back into the bullish control zone, first time after being kicked out of it for a while, and likely to stay in this region as well, especially if this exponential starts to crawl into the actual bullish control zone here as well. So everything's looking decent from this time frame. And let's go down to the 3-hour and 2-hour and see if they have anything of note here as well. 3-hour Stokes, same thing. 3-hour RSI, same thing. Looks nice and good. Looks nice and healthy. And as far as trend goes, well, there you go. Not bad. And historical volatility percentile on this time frame is still very much expanding. However, could it be that we're actually doing something like this? Could it be that we're doing something like this? As that does actually quite literally fit. And that actually would suggest that this whole formation right here is one piece of the whole pie. I don't know. I actually really don't know on this one, because if we do get another split to the upside here, then no, that's just going to be something completely new, and that's what I'm more so leaning towards. But if we are playing out one greater contraction phase, and keep in mind that this is the only time frame that we really see this on right now, could it be that we're actually baking in something even bigger around this $12,000 region? Probably yes, but for now I'll go with the former assumption. Looking at the buy hourly, what do we see? Yeah, we don't see the same sort of thing here, so it does make me think that we probably do overtake that, and we do see something new emerge from it. And what do we see on 2-hour momentum oscillator? It's actually popping down right now, to be fair. So a little bit of bifurcation here, but that is what is kind of leading into a little bit of the sideways and down from the 11.8 region that we already spoke about. And 2-hour RSI, same thing, same constructive behavior going on to the hourly, literally the same thing as well. What do we see on hourly? Stokes coming down a little bit harder here too. So probably a little more sideways, but I do look for the 4-hour to give another try to the upside overall. And do we see the same thing on historical volatility percentile here as well? Not the same as the 3-hour, the same as the other ones. So yeah, I do kind of hold with that former assumption essentially. And actually I want to take a quick look at CMEs, because CMEs were the more obvious chart yesterday. Remember that their momentum oscillators were completely different posturing, and 4-hour Stokes now up and at them and looking a lot more like what we see on spot. Looking at 4-hour RSI, same. Looking at 4-hour historical volatility percentile, actually not same. This one's still contracting. Very interesting, saying that we still have yet to see the explosive move from this. What about the 3-hour? What do we see right here? Yeah, looking good. I mean, basically the same thing, so not really anything new to talk about right there. Buy hourly, same thing as well. And what about the hourly? Yeah, same thing here too. I need to take a sip of this water, man. I'm fucking thirsty right now. Apologies for that. Oh, nice. Craig posting more pictures of his dog. Man, that thing grew up really fucking fast. Holy shit. It's actually a really cute dog. Never would have thought that I would like those types of dogs, but they grow on you, man. They grow on you. Anyways, okay, so let's go over here to the medium term time frame, see what's going on. And we got 12-hour Stokes crossing freshly up to the upside. Remember, we spoke about this yesterday. This trend line, or I guess I already have it in there. This trend line right here, protecting against the bearish control zone, bouncing up, good. And what do we see? I mean, basically just heading up to the 236 fib right here, providing our short-term resistance. I'm still looking for this one to give another try to the upside. 12-hour RSI tells the picture. This one's very constructive long-term. Getting that next stint into the bullish control zone after this one was pushed away. This one very likely to stay within this region after a consolidation around it. I'd really, really like that read. So yes, I am looking for this one to give a greater push onto the greater hole, especially with momentum oscillators turning up at the same time. So just based off of that, yeah, I do think that this one's heading back up towards, at the very least, 12,000, but probably 12,100-ish region. That's where the next area of interest is, though. And let's actually talk about what happens with that right now. If Bitcoin were to close, let's say like even a 2-hour dildo, probably above 12,100, 4 hours gonna hold a little more weight, or just a wick higher than what we saw on this one right here, which is basically 12,100 as well. I would look for a move into the mid 12,000s, somewhere around here at around 12.3 region, actually 12.3. Anyways, so while we are talking about this, did I cover up all this? Yes, I did. Okay, cool. And what do we got on top of that? We got the daily, of course, and daily is looking good here as well. I think that this would actually be a really good time for us to actually go reference the secondary charts. But before we do that, it should be noted on the daily, if you do see a daily closure, above 12, or sorry, not 12, but 11,950, or a 2-hour or 4-hour dildo closure above 12,100, 12-hour, where would that fit in? I'm not so sure. Let's actually go to it really, really quickly here. Yeah, could use 11,950 as well. Then I would be looking for the next move up into the 12,350-ish region right here, and probably beyond, with that over time. But as far as a short-term move, yes, that's what I'd be looking for. Anyways, on the daily, what do we see? We actually do see daily RSI getting back into the bullish control zone. I really like that. Again, very similar to the 12-hour, constructive on the whole. Daily Stokes popping back up. A little bit of corrective over there, but fair enough. And what do we see on historical volatility percentile? Actually contracted yesterday, which is very bizarre. I would have not expected that at all, but that still does play into the narrative that we really haven't seen the eruption from this region, which is likely going to be a lot more violent than what we're seeing right now. So keep that in mind. This is still one piece. This is still one whole piece right here. We have not seen resolution as far as the daily is concerned. What about the 2-day? We see up and at 'em. Yeah, continuation here is the name of the game. 2-day pivot actually right around 11.9 in fact, and 2-day RSI very good. Back in the bullish control zone. Going to be closing tonight, I believe. Yes, indeed it is. So anywhere here or higher by end of tonight. Yeah, I'm looking for a move into the low 12,000s essentially. 2-day Stokes getting up there, yes, but still is a little more time to travel. And 3-day, I believe we just got a fresh one yesterday, and we are getting no, that can't be true. It must have been 2 days ago, because we actually are getting a fresh one tonight. So 2-day and 3-day closing on the same day. 3-day closure anywhere above 12,000. I'm looking for a move, a greater move towards 12.5 actually. So all those targets, related to each other, and how does it kind of end up? Well, I put the biggest focus on the highest term time frame. So of course the 3-day above 12,000 is the most enticing, but going level by level on the short term time frames, you got 11.8, you got basically 11.950, then you got 12.1, and then 12.3 or 12.350 and 12.5, just your prior high right here. But I would imagine that probably actually 12.5 probably not that big of a deal. The big ones are going to be about 12,100 on the lower term time frames, or 11,950 on 12-hour or daily or above. That's essentially what it's looking like to me right now. This would be a really good time to go check out the secondary charts right here. And what I want to show you is a 12-hour. The 12-hour is in the process of trending right here. This is the Bollinger Bands expanding as we close our first girthy dildo back above the top side of it, and using the top side of it now as support, which is exactly what you want to see. Guess where the top side of it is? 11,700-ish region. So that is our current low of this short-term consolidation, and I'm essentially looking for this to move upwards and onwards until we do close our next 12-hour dildo below the top side Bollinger Band. But seeing as it just broke above after this nice consolidation right here, and while it's expanding at the same time after contracting to quite a nice little bottleneck right there, probably very, 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 very likely to get continuation here. See what our other tools say right now. Yeah, 12-hour MACD crossing back onto the upside. This is also very important to note here with the MACD. A lot of people use the MACD wrong. So what happened here is Bitcoin did break the horizontal, of course, 11,500. Alongside that, you actually are getting a bullish cross to the upside, which in this case would mean that momentum is shifting the upside as we actually do break that. This run is likely to be prolonged alongside, closing above the top side Bollinger Band. So including a bunch of different metrics in it, combining many different forms of technical analysis. On top of that, obviously the DMI plus is going to be dominant here. ADX just fucking goes super erect, and the DMI minus is on the floor. I mean, that is a pretty damn good read. What about the daily? Daily top side Bollinger Band shown where? 11,950. Isn't that interesting? Yes, of course it is, because if we do close above there on a daily, then the trend actually does just start beginning on a daily, and well, that's where you really start to see the mid 12,000s, I'd imagine. DMI plus still dominant, ADX still strengthening, but we are seeing a slightly lower high on the DMI plus. I probably would be looking for this one to give another drive on it, and then it plays a greater pullback. But how high does price action get before then? We don't. I mean, obviously we don't know. And I really want to give credence to this next sort of, this next sort of try here. What about the 2-day? Do we see anything of note right now as well? Yeah, keep in mind the 2-day is going to be closing tonight, the 2-day and the 3-day. And the 2-day does show the top Bollinger Band right around 11,700. So any sort of a closure above 11.7 on a 2-day, and I'd basically be looking for extension on this run as well. So all of these things fit in with each other. It's funny though that the 2-day actually is a little bit lower than the other time frames, but that's because it hasn't necessarily gotten the break yet. We haven't seen a closure since we haven't seen a closure since the actual breakout. So that could be confirmed today. If that happens, I'm very, 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 very likely looking for a move towards 12.1. Daily falls through on top of that, and then can extend, to maybe 12.5. Yes, possible. Check this out as well. DMI plus freshly dominant above the threshold, and we do see ADX strengthening fresh as well. This is a really good read right here. Very, 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 very good read. The last time we had a similar read like this was back here. You see it getting above the threshold. It strengthens right there, and that is throughout this whole run from about upper 9,000s all the way to 12,500. Time before that was a little bit more of an anemic run right here, to be fair. This one actually not as good. Did give you a move from about 9,400 all the way to 10.5. Okay, so about $1,000 move. All right, fair enough. Fine. But was technically a fake out, to be fair. This one right here gives you the move from about 78 all the way up to 10,000. Not bad. And I mean, you can just go through the annals of history here. But basically what I'm showing is that we're getting a very fresh signal right here, of which, you know, if it closes above the top side trend band here as well, those targets can get extended quite a fair bit more. So for right now, you know, I'm basically, I guess I'm a fucking Bitcoin boolah, and I would be holding on to these, I'd be holding on to this as long as we're above, again, that pivot right around 11,550 on at the very least a 4-hour delta closure. Could you do this on a 2-hour? Potentially could do it on a 2-hour, but I'd feel less confident about it. As always, higher term time frame is going to hold more weight. I'd probably be looking at the 4-hour here, just because this is a pretty major level, to be fair. And of course, this would be a good time to reflect upon all of our long-term stuff, as well as what is the weekly looking like. We took out last week's high, very good. Just based off that, I'd be looking for a move towards about 12.1. What do we see as far as the greater whole goes? Bitcoin traveling above the last of the last thick AF high value nodes on the weekly right here, which is of great interest right now. It's actually literally at the last of them. Now, of course, this is all relative, but the thing is that when you're looking at this right here, these guys are all a lot more similar than what we see after it drops off above, especially about 11.8, we'll call it. Yeah, above 11.8 on a weekly closure. And then it's a whole new, it's a whole new fucking thing over here. This thing can really actually blast if it does get the next critical closure on a weekly above, let's call it what, 11.8, or is this 11.9? It's somewhere around there. We'll have to pinpoint it before the weekly comes, but that's still so far away. It's just not even worth talking about right now. What's worthwhile talking about is also the fact that Bitcoin's, just basically brushing up against this blue box territory once again. I mean, to me, this is no longer an area where big boys, where institutions are getting their short fills in, because we would have run away from it on this one right here. Given another try within this region and then staying within this region for an actual closure, that's a change of behavior as far as I'm concerned. And this is the same area that we've been getting rejected from for the past 3 years, going all the way back to January 2018. So that is by definition a macro change of behavior. And if people are no longer shorting this major region right here, big accounts, then I mean, 13,500 is still relevant, 16,000 is relevant, and 20,000 is relevant. I really don't like using these more moon boy terms, but this is, it's getting very close to being incredibly relevant. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, if we just go look at this from a long-term moving average perspective, very, 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 very simple stuff right here. But anytime that Bitcoin's been above the yellow 21 exponential moving average on the weekly and it has a positive slope, well, that's your bull market from $5 to $1,000 right here. Tells you about the bear market right here. Tells you about the bull market all the way from 250 to 20,000 right here. Tells you about the bear market in 2018 all the way from, Jesus Christ, like 12,000 to 3,000. Tells you about this bull market here from about 4,000 to 12,000 right here, from about 8,000 where we are right now. And guess what? Just set in a base above 10,000. Look, this is pretty good. It's I like to usually have a much more balanced or neutral look on this, but it's getting to the point where it's Bitcoin's going to be doing things, especially if it hangs around this region for a little bit longer on a weekly, where it's going to be doing things that are just plain old good. So fair enough. But there is a couple counterpoints, because we do see a long-term correlation between Bitcoin and traditional markets. It is always of note. It is always of interest to what traditional markets are doing, and they're actually not following with. So, well, actually, they'd be leading in the other direction. Maybe better said. So let's go over here and check out Nasdaq. Nasdaq actually did take out and did hit the bottom side target. If we were to take out Friday's low at 11.8. That was 11,600 now, bouncing off. And, does it play out a little bit of a greater bounce from here? Probably yes, maybe back up towards like 11.8 or something. But realistically, this one does look like it wants to have a little more downside. I'd be looking for this one to come down lower overall. Next stop, likely around about 11,350-ish region, of which I'd be looking for another short-term, medium-term bounce right there again. But here's the thing is that when this thing is coming down, is it relevant to be looking at Bitcoin as bullish? I mean, Bitcoin's very obviously doing a lot of things, whereas this one's kind of sliding in. And, what does this essentially line up with? It probably lines up with elections, if I had to guess. which is interesting. So we do see a little bit of bifurcation between these two. Now, of course, just one day of sustained moves is not a trend, obviously, but if we do see this one really continue down on a daily, like if let's say that we see this thing come back down to $11,000 base and actually break it while Bitcoin's hanging out at 12,000, then we do have something new to consider. Actually, it'd be really the first time that we've seen something sustained in that direction in favor of Bitcoin rather than traditional markets. Usually it's the other way around, which just suggests relative weakness. So that is yet to be decided, obviously. But for right now, even yesterday, I was looking at Bitcoin. I was like, okay, well, I'm bullish on Bitcoin, so I kind of have to be bullish on Nasdaq as well. And I think on my Forex video yesterday as well, I was looking for a move back up to 12,000. We actually almost got that right here to 11,950ish region, but rejection, and then just runs the other way. So, I mean, that's something, man. That's definitely something to think about. But yes, overall, this one very likely does come further down. Whether it pops back up to 11.8 or not, I don't have a strong opinion on that. This one, I'm looking for some more downside action. Even 4-hour Joule giving a little bit of a sell signal here at 19th of October at 9 a.m. or my 9 a.m. So that'd be actually right here, right on that run to 11,950ish region. So even if you weren't hindsight trading it, you didn't trade it perfectly, right around here at about just under 11.9 all the way down to about 11.6. Yeah, fair enough, man. And I still think that this one has a little more to play out here as well, especially with 4-hour Stokes, which actually look relatively similar to, hey, get the fuck over here, to our Joule signal also popping down at the same time. So good confluence right there. And 4-hour RSI, what do we see here? 4-hour RSI is very bizarre looking actually right now. So fair enough. I think I'd hold off on judgment on that. Basically though, I am looking for this one to come down a little bit further south towards, let's call it 11,350ish region, and I'll be looking for another bounce there. What happens after that is the real question though. If that area does fail over the next day or two, I'd be looking for an extension all the way down to $11,000 base. That's where long-term things start to change around. Looking at the weekly right here, what does this essentially look like? Still the weekly is not super problematic. I imagine a lot of this is going to be politically infused, as this is one of the, I wouldn't say one of the few times anymore, because now it's like every fucking time politics are involved. We actually do have market moves, and it actually does seem to really matter during these Trump times. And again, this is not anything for Trump or against Trump. I literally don't give a fuck. I really don't have strong opinions on it. Don't love him, don't hate him, and also feel the same way about him. Don't love him, don't hate him, although I suspect that something's going on there. I don't know if you've heard him talk, but it's kind of strange. Then again, you could say the same thing for the other guy too. But yeah, looking at the weekly right here, yeah, I'd be looking for a little bit of down. Weekly says to be cautious here though. While I do think, should I be looking down for 11,350 here, or should I be looking for a bounce first? No, you know what? No. Am I wrong on this? I would still like to see a little bit of a drive lower, but I do think that it will have a legitimate chance to bounce it. So yeah, if I had to call it right now, I don't feel all that confident on this one, to be honest with you. I'd be looking for a little bit of a drive lower, somewhere around 11.4 to 11.350ish region, and then a bounce there. And I do think that the bounce actually could be reversal actually. See what we can find on SPY futures. Looks like the exact same fucking chart here too. Jesus, man. What do we see on daily? If NAS comes down, I'd be looking for this one to come down a little slightly below about 3,400ish region, somewhere around 33.80 to 33.75, and a bounce there. But do I feel the same way about this one? The 4-hour looks the same thing here too. I really don't feel that strongly about these ones. Short term, if I had to call it, down. But medium and long term, I'd be looking for a bounce either literally where we are right now, at about 34.36 for SPY and NAS at 11.7. Or a bounce at the next level to the downside, potential reversal. I'm actually very skeptical to get bearish here with the way that the weekly looks as it is, or immediately at least. I do think that even if this is going to be a major reversal, we probably take our time. I don't think that it's running away like exactly right now. But I should reiterate, I don't feel all that strongly about traditional markets right now. I actually really don't. What I feel strongly about is Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Looking at Tesla breaking down, probably coming back down towards 405. Looking at Apple, probably breaking, very likely breaking down as well, maybe all the way back down to 106 region over time. Probably not like today, but over time, yes. Short term back down to about 113. Microsoft, short term probably bounces back up towards about 116, or sorry, not 116, but 216 and a half. And then I'd be looking for a little bit of downside pressure. Over time, probably comes back down to about 206 and a quarter. Other than that, can we check out our techs over here? Yeah, techs looking for a bounce back up to about 120ish region, and then probably a little bit more of a try to the downside. Financials, what do we see here? Down. Oh my God, these are fucking atrocious. Actually, down, just fucking down. Shove it to the downside. 23 and three quarters. Should we look at Dixie? Probably not too much to talk about here that we haven't said already. Short term down, I'm still looking for $93. And what about Uni? Oh, this is definitely fucked. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, it looks good, man. Love those rolling hills of distribution right there. What else do we got? We'll save gold for we'll save gold for the Forex Fortress. What about Link? Linky, what are you doing? Let's just look at the dollar parent. Curious what the dollar parents are looking like for a lot of these things. Probably short term back up towards $11.5. I don't feel that strongly about this one either, though. But yeah, short term probably back up alongside Bitcoin. It should have a chance here, if Bitcoin's going to go. Okay, what else do we got? Mr. Buterol, Mr. Buter. Probably back up towards about 387 and a quarter. 4 hour, what do we see here? Not making new highs along with Bitcoin. This is very strange. This is very, 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 very strange. We're basically only seeing Bitcoin. Everything else is on hold or sideways. Very unimpressive, actually. So would I be looking for about 390 on this one, or even like 384 or 385? 384, 385, I think rather likely, actually. But does this one pop back up towards 390ish region and above? I guess I'd want to see it first. You'd think that with Bitcoin moving up, it probably does drag it up, and that would be my general disposition, yes. But I'd like to see it proven where it actually closes above about 391, and then we can talk about moves back up towards 420 and beyond. But for right now, trading sideways while Bitcoin is not a sign of strength, although this one does seem to be consolidating right here. So yeah, if I did have to call it, probably does give it another try to the upside, but this one's certainly not as strong as the main one cone to rule them all. And have I spoken everyone's head off right now? Yeah, it's 26 minutes in. You know what? I think we'll cut it off right there. Nice and easy video today. And basically, I am short-term, medium-term, and long-term bullish as long as Bitcoin's above about 11,550. If that area does get broken to the downside, then yes, we can talk about moves back down to the low side of the range at 11.3. Same shit's going to be relevant on the way down as it was on the way to the upside. So 11.3, 11,000, and 10.5, we'll call it. But I'm not really looking for that to happen. I do think that Bitcoin probably gives another try to the upside here. Any sort of a 4-hour closure above 11.8, maybe even a 2-hour closure above there. I mean, just in general, I'm looking for a run to about 12,100ish region, and then probably a short-term, medium-term pullback from that area, similar to what we're seeing right now, and then kind of come back and judge that one. And we'll definitely be looking at this one again. I do like kind of the minute extra on Bitcoin for the Forex Fortress videos, just because helps shore up my short-term time frame thoughts. But for right now, the medium and higher term time frames look like continuation. Short-term time frames kind of sloppy and sideways. But I do give them the upside as well. So basically looking for about 12,000. Anyways, I think that's a good place to likely leave this one off. Of course, I should say that this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is the furthest thing from financial advice, in fact. So with that in mind, I'd like to wish you the best once again. Take care, and until next time.